What's up, dudes, dudettes, and non-binaries? You're listening to the Wrestling with Entertainment podcast with the incredible one, the neon phenomenon, the baller, the shot caller, the man who makes all the ladies holler, Anthony Idol.
Hello, and welcome to the show. It's Wrestling with Entertainment, bringing you the latest exclusive breaking news, previewing and reviewing the latest shows from WWE, AEW, New Japan, and everything in between every Saturday, and interviewing all your favorite wrestlers every Wednesday on YouTube in Castbox, sponsored by Rogue Energy. Use promo code WrestlingWithE for 10% off your next purchase. I am, of course, your host, that guy, James Shea, alongside the leader of Squash Squad, officially on time for the first time in who knows how long, Kaliko Yachts.
Well, I couldn't let the time beat me, so but I always got my jokes. Where does bananas learn to make splits? Sunday school. Bam! Gotcha!
The American Scooter Dust, who unfortunately has spontaneously combusted and will not be here tonight. Truly a tragedy. But somebody that is actually here from the Gr8ful Yardy Podcast, our good friend, the Canadian sensation, Drew.
What's up, folks? I'm back at it again. It looks like I had to be tagged in this time.
Hot tag.
I'm not a tag team wrestler. Never have been, never will be.
Well, hey, even the best of them have to do a tag team match once in a while. Get some tag team.
I know. We're the Matt Riddle to your Randy Orton. How about that?
Thank you.
And it's a great day for wrestling. Last week on the show, we interviewed Anthony Idol, or at least I did. Incredible interview. Had Anthony wrestled Rocks, and I'm kind of interested to see a Psycho Mike versus Anthony Idol match. I don't know, maybe that's just me. And
Or would it be a triple threat with The Rock?
yes, and Hard Place. Make it a tag team match.
There you go. Rock and Hard Place versus Idol and Mike.
And we finally solved the mystery of that who was the guy that Swanton bombed into some rose bushes. It was Anthony, and we got his perspective of that story. So you definitely want to listen to that as well. This week, this upcoming Wednesday, we got Brutal Bob Evans, our most tenured and most traveled interview we've had to date, and it is a incredible chat that you definitely want to listen to. Don't believe me? Here's a small clip from that interview. No, I was just going to follow up question. What do you think was maybe the mental block for you that you could do wrestling like almost full time and not call it a job? But when you finally did call it a job, that's kind of where it kind of got messy for you.
You're the first one, James, out of all the people that I must have done 100 podcasts in the last 6 months. You're the first guy that's asked me that question. So congratulations, gold star for you.
Thank you.
And now I will give you that answer because I've had a lot of time to think about that. And what I think it was, now we'll never know 100%, right? But what I think it was that I never wanted to do wrestling full time, and I felt an inert pressure. And this is one of the things I'm fighting people on, not fist fighting, but metaphorically fighting people.
Great clip, guys. All right. Now that we're done putting ourselves over, let's say it was a big week in wrestling, is to say the least. So let's get into it. We're wrestling with Impact Wrestling Slammiversary. It was last Saturday, and unfortunately we didn't get to do a preview of this, so we're kind of going in cold. But let's get into the matches. We got Rosemary and Havoc, Jessica Havoc, defeated the Knockout Tag Team Champions Fire and Flavor, Kira Hogan and Tasha Steelz, to become the new champions. It kind of seems like they're playing hot potato with those tag team titles with Fire and Flavor. No, Kaliko?
Well, if you believe the rumors that Hogan's out the door, so it made sense for her to lose the belt if she's not re-signing, which is weird because she signed a multi-year deal. So I would have thought automatically she would have stayed, but she leaves becoming a two-time champ. So, but then again, they need to solidify that division anyway. So I mean, Havoc and Rosemary, they're stable, so they can stabilize the title to me.
What say you, Drew?
Yeah, I totally heard the reports that Kara Hogan was out the door as well. So obviously you're leaving the promotion. The promotion has no right to put you over and keep the title on you so you can hold up the division. Right. But putting it on Rosemary and Havoc, it's a smart thing to do, as Kaliko said, to solidify that division a little bit more.
Now that was on the pre-show. This is the actual show. It kind of feels like Impact Wrestling has low-key really good pay-per-views. No, Drew?
I agree with that. For the last couple of years, they've been putting on some decent pay-per-views, and I think the issue, not the issue, but I think the good thing that they're doing is that they're not trying to give you a pay-per-view every month. They're throwing those like network special things on their streaming service, right. And then the major pay-per-views, they only have like 4. So it makes it feel a lot more special when you only have 4, because honestly, I'm coming from an era with the WWF growing up where you only had 4 pay-per-views, and then you went into that whole 12 pay-per-view once a month, and it oversaturates the market. But for the last couple of years, yes, Impact has been putting on some great matches and some great pay-per-views. So, yeah.
Anything you want to add, Kaliko?
Yeah, I blame WCW for that shit, because I like it when it was 4 because it made the storyline more intense. NXT is like the current day model of it, where they're running like little specials, but then their big specials are the takeover. So to me, they're practically the closest model besides Impact.
Let's get into the matches. We got an Ultimate X match featuring Josh Alexander, Petey Williams, Rohit Raju, Trey Miguel, and Chris Bay, and Ace Austin. Josh Alexander retained the X Division Championship. Kind of seems like Josh Alexander low-key underrated. No, Drew?
100% he's underrated. I remember seeing this guy in Ontario Indies, which is like Toronto Indies, where I'm from. Him, there's a bunch of guys that were super over in the, I would say, the late 2000s, so 2009, 2010, and he was young in that group. But he, to me, if you build him properly like they're doing, he looks like the most the threat that could probably take back the Impact Championship from Kenny Omega down the line.
That's actually a good point. Maybe not, the guy that beats Omega, but definitely somebody that can hold that Impact Wrestling banner up. For sure.
I mean, to be quite honest, he is the only male that is holding the Impact banner up, just because of the fact that he's the champion. But my only problem with Josh is that Are they going to pull the trigger and not have him be X Division guy? Like TJP, he's solid, but he's always X Division guy, right? Like they don't really move him up or move him around. Like you remember, hell, Samoa Joe and Bobby Lashley held that title at some point. So it to me that kind of once he gets out of that stigma, like cruiserweight, it's kind of like what the hell? As Santos Escobar, right?
Yeah.
Cruiserweight guy. Now he's trying to be other than cruiserweight guy.
Yeah.
And that's the hurdle I want to see him jump.
That's a good point. And lastly, really solid opener. You can't really go wrong with Ultimate X-Max. Next matchup, Matt Cardona and his mystery tag team partner was Chelsea Green, the Hot Mess. They defeated Brian Miles and Tennille Dashwood with Caleb with a K and Sam Beal on the side. Kaliko, why should Tennille Dashwood have won this match?
I kind of knew they weren't. Once Chelsea came out, it was the most awkward thing I've ever seen to me because Matt Cardona dated Tennille, broke up with Tennille, and went with Chelsea and it married Chelsea. So it's like, when she came out, I was like, this ain't gonna end good. Usually, you know me, I ride Tennille till the wheels fall off.
Yep.
But even I knew when Chelsea came out, I was like, oh no, Whitey's getting the win. Whitey is getting the win. So I still root for you, Dash. I got you. I got your back.
And Drew, if Matt Cardona wins a match in the Worlds, does anybody care?
Hell no. Hell no. Because that guy has a stigma on him that he is always going to be a jobber. And him coming into Impact is like he's trying to retread himself so he can get another shot in the WWE. And I just don't see it. Like, I never saw it when he was in the WWE. Yeah, he did some amazing things like his reality show and creating the internet title and put himself over and all that stuff. That's great. But I don't care for you. And another thing, Chelsea Green showed up on Ring of Honor the weekend before that saying that she's going after the Ring of Honor title. So is she signed to Impact or is she just a floating person like her fiance is? And to me, sorry to cut you off, but to me, the wrong team won. Or the wrong team, the wrong one.
Yeah.
The wrong team won. You should have put over Tennille Dashwood and Caleb with a K because they have been in the company compared to these two jabronis that just show up whenever they feel like it.
Which I must agree with because considering a certain match that happened later in that card, that's why it makes sense. But then again, I think the women wrestlers now, today, I feel like they got a better range of being able to float anywhere because the women wrestlers are so scarce as far as like in the indie scene. So if you're in that top 200-300, you can probably go wherever you please. Like Thunder Rosa literally is like everywhere. Everywhere. She's like, I go where I damn well please type shit.
Very true. Let's get into the next match. W. Morrissey defeated Eddie Edwards. Drew, your thoughts?
Next.
Okay, next.
Moving on. Keep it moving.
Next. Keep it moving. We keep it moving.
Keep it moving.
Finjuice defeated Madman Fulton and Shura in an impromptu match.
Keep it moving. Yeah, we keep it moving.
Crickets go wild. Chris Sabin defeated Moose.
Interesting.
You think
And
you think that this is kind of because Moose is maybe on his way out? Because there's been speculation about that for quite some time now.
no, he resigned.
Oh, he
So
resigned?
that's why I said it's interesting, because in my mind, the one person that should have been the person to beat Omega was Moose, because Moose is the most credible. It made sense, because especially in the sense of it could have been like him beating Omega could have continued the storyline between him and Swan, because to me that was a triangle in itself, but they went away from the triangle. But what do I know?
What say you, Drew?
With Moose, the character, it's too much start and stop with him. He should have been champion 3 years ago. He should have been champion 2 years ago. He should have been champion 1 year ago. He should have been champion when he faced Kenny Omega a few weeks ago. It's like now as a viewer, I don't really care for Moose anymore, because you have like jobbed him out so much that his credibility as a big man, athletic, has a great look, decent on the mic, there is like his credibility is completely gone. And now making him lose to Chris Sabin, what was the point of him feuding with EC3, beating EC3 to a bloody pulp, and saying, now I got my edge back, to go job to Chris Sabin? Come on, man.
Actually, a really good point there.
Former Atlanta Falcon. I like him. I like him, but damn it, they're like hot and cold with him.
It's either you're doing something with him or you're relegating him and he's a jobber. One of the two. It's either he's your franchise guy or he's not. That's it. There's no more, like, there's too much hot coal with him. It's like you get behind him as a babyface and everybody was doing the Moose chants and you could have pulled the trigger when he faced Austin Aries in Toronto. Don't do it. Then you turn him heel. He does amazing work with pretty much putting prestige on the TNA belt. And what do they do with that? Job him out. Then he goes after the Impact belt. Job him out once. Job him out twice. Now I don't care. It's like he should have left. He should have never resigned, because it feels like the company does not have faith in him.
You think it's more of an internal rather than an external problem with Moose that maybe we're not seeing, that Impact obviously can see?
It would have to be internal, right? Because and you know what? He hit on to something. Drew hit on to something. Who the hell is the franchise wrestler in Impact Wrestling?
Kenny Omega. They have relegated everybody on that roster. That I remember talking to you guys a few months back, and we were talking about the same thing. It's great that Kenny showed up, but you have made Impact Wrestling look like chumps. Impact Wrestling hasn't even showed up once on an AEW show, minus Moose fighting it on for the Impact title. Where is the guy that's going to AEW that is actually looking like $1 million? It's not Eddie Edwards. It's not Moose. It's not Josh Alexander. It's not Chris Bay. It's not Ace Austin. And I agree with you too, Kaliko. They're not moving anybody up. They have all this great talent, but they're not moving anybody up to the next upper echelon. They're just keeping the Chris Bays, the Ace Austins that have the move sets, have the promos, look great in the ring, and they just keep them at the X division. We need to build guys and girls that look credible, so when they get to that next level, it's believable. It's like, go back in the days. Shawn Michaels was a tag team wrestler. He does the thing against Marty Jannetty, and his career just takes off from there as a single star, and is arguably one of the best in-ring workers of all time. But he needed to do things to make himself credible, and that is what Impact is not doing. And I really think it's booking. 101. You're trying to appease You're trying to appease Tony Khan. You're trying to appease New Japan. You're trying to appease the NWA. You're trying to appease everybody else, and you're not worrying about your own grass.
And that, to me, was always the biggest issue, was that is having AEW there worth shitting on the roster? Because I could make the argument that their franchise player is Deonna Purrazzo.
Right. And we'll get into that in a moment.
I mean, but that's how I see it. But next match, let's go.
Yeah. Now we got the Good Brothers defeating Violent by Design, Rich Swann and Willie Mack, and Fala Baja and No Way, formerly Jose, to become the new tag team Impact Tag Team Champions.
Again.
Yeah, 2 times.
Back to normal. That's what it looks like. Next match, back to normal. So everything's going back to what it was. So basically, Impact's having no spines. Next.
Oh, wait, there's 2 things I want to cover on this. We got No Way Jose back in Impact. Well, he was never in Impact, but he's back on TV. You Big Bastard, somebody that they could maybe go with. Do you see No Way doing something in Impact, Lico?
Based on how they book, no. Because it was never No Way Jose. It was just I've always had an issue with Party Wrestler.
Yeah.
Because Party Wrestler is seemed to be not taken serious wrestler, right?
Right.
And I always use this an example is the Street Profits, because Street Profits was always gangster wrestler until what was it when they had Andrade and Angel Garza, and they met him in the parking lot, beat the piss out of him, and was like, "Yo, we ain't playing with you." That broke him out of that shell. So my thing is, he could come in with that gimmick, but what's going to break him out of that shell to being Party Wrestler?
Anything you want to comment, Drew?
I agree with what Kaliko's saying 100%. And there is a space for comedic wrestling. There is. But No Way should have came in a different way. He shouldn't have came in this way. This is a new start, a new place, but you're still doing the old WWE gimmick. You should be coming into this program. Nobody knows you that watches Impact Wrestling. Come in with a more sinister, more mean look that we can take seriously. Okay, yeah, we know you were the Joker guy over here, but in this company, you're more serious. And that's the issue with the comedic wrestling. There's always room for comedic wrestling. Always. People can make careers out of comedic wrestling. But you're moving from one place to another. You should have put a different shine on yourself going forward into Impact Wrestling.
Well, my thing is that the comedy wrestling works in the indies because you're never stuck in one place, so you go place to place. But being in a actual company and being the comedic guy, it kind of like the comedic or party guy. It's like being Steve from Blue's Clues. No matter what the fuck you gonna do, you're Steve from Blue's Clues. That's my problem with it.
No.
Just one last thing. It's the comedic wrestler in a company gets pigeonholed. It's like an actor playing the same type of roles but in different shows.
And I think
you're always put in that predicament. You're coming somewhere new, try to bite your teeth into something different that people have never seen you do before. So even if it was braiding the hair, even if it was coming with a more sinister look, maybe it's just coming in with the name, not even No Way, your name is Jose or whatever. Just something different to make you different than what you were in the WWE, because we all know diehard fans are the ones that watch everything. So we know, No Way Jose showed up, and they've mentioned this guy for the last year plus because he was part of the 2020 releases. And they mentioned him so many times on their program. We haven't signed that guy yet. Tommy Dreamer would say that all the time. It made him even more of a joke before he even got into the company.
And I get what you mean, and I definitely feel like there could have been a better way to use him, considering he was in a multi-man tag match with what, seven other guys. So, the spotlight was definitely not on him.
That's my problem, because they put him in a match where the spotlight is really on the Good Brothers, because the whole thing was about putting the fire in their ass to get the titles back.
Right. Next match, Deonna Purrazzo defeated her mystery opponent, who turned out to be newly signed to AEW, Thunder Rosa. Really great, intense match. And it's honestly great that they gave their own champion the nod here, considering that Impact usually doesn't do that. What are your thoughts on the match, Kaliko? And we'll talk a little bit about what happened afterwards.
Well, first things first, Thunder Rosa, shout out, because it's her birthday week. Because you know how girls do. They don't do birthdays. They do birthday weeks or months. So shout out to her. But it made, like I said, Deanna's basically their franchise player, because she's carrying the division without a shadow of a doubt. But you can make an argument she's carrying the company, because if you take away Kenny Omega, what else is there in Impact, right? So
Alexander could hold his own.
Alexander, but he's not there yet. Like Purrazzo is there because of the fact that she was in NXT, she never got used, and people knew that she never got used. So when she got there, they let her go carte blanche, and with her skill set, which is surprising for Impact, because usually when they have a motherfucker debut, they beat the shit out the champion that they have for 4 months. So for her to be the longest reigning champion in Impact, I mean, she's a franchise player. Secondly, Thunder Rosa gave her a hell of a match, and it just shows that she's everywhere. And she's finally found a home in AEW. I'm surprised it took them so long, but we'll go there for another day. But yeah, it was a great match, and it highlights Purrazzo, but now we got to figure out where Purrazzo goes from here, because unless they're going to take her in the Tessa Blanchard route to where she becomes like a challenger. Then
She could be the one that beats Kenny Omega.
Wow, yes, because, I mean, it worked for Tessa. I mean, I can't say no, because they have a history of it.
Very true. Anything you want to add about the match, Drew?
Man, I'm so impressed with Thunder Rosa. I enjoy any match that she's in. I have to watch it. It's must-see TV for me. And I agree with you guys that Deonna Purrazzo is their franchise player, because they have made the men look so weak on this program. No spine, no backbone. This is your promotion. The only person that actually sounded like they were fighting for Impact was Sami Callihan going into this pay-per-view. Everybody and Deonna Purrazzo to an extent, because she didn't know who her opponent was until that moment. But it just seems like Thunder Rosa's doing her thing. Congratulations on her signing with AEW. And yeah, I'm even saying it's possible that Deonna Purrazzo becomes the Impact champion. At this point, it's like, who even cares about that title anymore? Like, Kenny can keep it, and you can make another Impact title. Who cares? Like, it's just irrelevant now.
And Thunder Rosa signing with AEW. I mean, she's been with AEW for quite some time, since the pandemic started. Is this a major loss for NWA to lose basically their franchise player? Because it was Thunder Rosa and Nick Aldis was the most associated with that company. Kaliko.
Yeah, but when you think about Thunder Rosa, I, I, yeah, she was a franchise player, but she wasn't carrying an NWA banner. Because if that were the case, she would have still be NWA champion. Nigga,
True.
Aldous had it forever. So that's my point. So to me, I think she took NWA as a platform and springboarded herself everywhere and became like she's literally like the journeywoman of wrestling right now. I wouldn't be surprised if she should be number one next year on women's PWI because that girl has been all over the place.
Very true.
And to me, she's wrestled for NWA titles, Impact title, freaking AEW's title. I'm surprised she didn't do ROH and NXT. But she chose AEW because they gave her the free will to do what she does as far as her wrestling career, and a lot of the ladies from her Mission Pro Wrestling is getting shine on AEW. So it kind of helps. Is her helping other women from her organization springboard into a bigger company. So to me, that's a win-win for her because I feel like if she stayed with NWA, it wouldn't have been that way. I mean, only AEW because they get that national exposure.
Drew, anything you want to add?
No, I totally agree with all what you guys have been saying completely because Thunder Rosa, just to quickly wrap it up quick, Thunder Rosa reminds me of the guys that used to do the territories. And she has that territory-esque movement. I can go up to Toronto and have great matches there. I can come down to New York. I can go to Florida. I can go to St. Louis and help it. And to me, when you help other people around you get that national exposure, because it's true, like Kaliko was saying earlier, it's that the women are figuring out a way that they can get the exposure, but not have to be pigeonholed to one company. They can go and do the Ring of Honors. They can go do AEW Dynamite and Rampage or whatever other shows that AEW decides to do. They can go over and do indies when that comes back. There's a plethora of places that they can go. So it kind of has that territory feel again. But kudos to her for getting signed and doing what she's doing. And 100% she should be number one on the women's PWI magazine next year.
And after the match, we got a surprise from Mickie James, interrupting Deonna Purrazzo's celebration and asking her to be a part of NWA's Empower pay-per-view. Purrazzo took offense, slapped James. James then proceeded to kick Purrazzo's ass. Not maybe the greatest thing to do to your champion, but I think that this is leading to a match at the NWA pay-per-view, so smart way to go, Kaliko.
It's smart for Deonna. I mean, because she probably needs to look at what Thunder Rosa did and copy that shit to the T. Maybe even better.
I mean, it feels like everybody is giving Mickie James, and don't get me wrong, she does deserve her flowers. She is, she is great at what she does. But it seems like the flowers aren't enough for Mickie James. It feels like she wants the chocolate, the cards, the giant teddy bear, and anything else everybody is willing to give her. And it seems like because she has that WWE name value, they are giving her that so she could come on their shows. Is this just my opinion, or do you agree, Kaliko, Drew?
I agree, but I'm going to take it a step further. I think all of this is stemming from that stupid garbage situation.
Yes.
And to be honest with you, to me, WWE rectified it the best way they could by getting rid of the person that did it, all of that. But now she is, as we would say in Jamaican patois, she is overdoing it. It's too much now. Because it's not only that you got the NWA pay-per-view that you're doing, that you're the executive producer on, then you're coming into other people's promotion trying to poach their females to be on this show. It's like, what else more do you need? You said it best, James. She got her flowers, but she wants the chocolate, the giant teddy bear, the engagement ring, the limo. She wants everything. And it's becoming, to me, after what happened on Slammiversary, it's pathetic. Like, if you already put out there, you are looking for the best of the best females to be a part of this show. So that means those females should be coming to you because you are the booker of that show and saying, yeah, I want to be a part of it. And then you can announce Deonna Purrazzo is going to be on Empowered. And Allison Kay is going to be on there. And Chelsea Green's going to be on there. And the Iconics are going to... It should be them coming to you, not you coming to them to beg them to be a part of the show. It is too much. And again, Impact is doing it again. You're making your champion look weak by having an outsider kick them upside the head.
My thing with that, though, NWA looks weak coming on the Impact going, yo, you want to come on our show? Like, like that to me is like, you know, a little move. But to me, I mean, Deanna's going to win whoever she goes against. She's going to beat the piss out of them.
Do you think it's going to be Mickie James? Are we going to see Mickie James versus Deonna Purrazzo at Empower?
It would have to, because who the hell else NWA got other than Camille?
That's a good question. Very good question.
I mean, don't get me wrong. They got some good, like Lady Frost. They got Melina. They got some cats, but the only person you would really take seriously is Camille.
Sure. All right. And that brings us to our main event for the night. Impact World Championship match. Kenny Omega with Don Callis defeated Sami Callihan in a no DQ match to retain the title. You know, this was honestly a great match, but it kind of seems like, you know, why am I not surprised Kenny Omega had a great match with Sami Callihan? You kind of know what I mean?
True, but shout out to Don Callis, because he's the only person that could get fired and still come on campus.
Real men get fired. They don't quit. Drew, your thoughts on the match? And
It was a great match. I'll give it that. Kenny Omega doesn't have many bad matches. I don't think I've seen a bad match from Kenny Omega in the last couple of years. Don Callis, yeah, it's like I'm gonna use that at my next job. I'm gonna be like, yeah, just keep showing up. I should have did that when I left the grocery store. Just keep showing up every day. And didn't you quit? Nah, I got fired. Real men don't quit. They get fired and just keep coming and working. And no, it's. I enjoy what Don Callis brings to the table. I enjoy what Kenny Omega is doing. I just feel like it doesn't help Impact at all. I just feel like it's making the promotion look like not even tier 2, but like tier 5, tier 6. Like it's one of those promotions that people are not going to tune into the television because the ratings have shown that. Nobody's going to really they watch more or less the clips that they put up on YouTube. It's like this would be the perfect time for Impact to just say, okay, nobody can take the belt off of Kenny. or you find a way to do so. Like in for instance, even at All In, have somebody from Impact show up in his championship match, and he got pinned by whoever in AEW to lose the AEW title, and then all of a sudden somebody from Impact shows up with an Impact referee and 1, 2, 3, and they get back their Impact title. Something. It's just like too many guys go up against him. They have all this fire and brimstone in them ready to go, like Sami Callihan did, and it's like it falls flat after, and it's just like, okay, Kenny Omega wins again. Who really cares who's the Impact World Champion? Because to be honest with you, I don't really care. I really watch Deonna Purrazzo and Josh Alexander. And when somebody else was holding the tag titles, I cared more than the Good Brothers holding the tag titles because they show up more on Wednesday nights than they do on Thursday nights.
Well, to your point of not caring about Impact Wrestling stars, Jay White made, I don't want to say return, but he made an appearance after the match to confront Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers. Jay White, obviously a New Japan Pro Wrestling star. Could we see, and it seems like this is the route they're going, Kenny Omega versus Jay White at an Impact Wrestling event? Is there a good possibility of that happening, Kaliko?
If that happens, that will be the shittiest situation Impact has ever been in our life. How the hell you have a New Japan guy and an AEW guy fighting for your title at your pay-per-view? The shittiest situation you could ever find. Y'all better find Willie Mack, Rich Swann, anybody. Because if that happens, I'm done with Impact. Because that basically just said, fuck it. Anybody could come in. I'm surprised somebody from Superstar Bill Dundee better come in that bitch and start fucking challenging for the title. You know what I'm saying? Right. PG-13 should come in there and start challenging. When will it end? Who's going to be the one to beat him? And that's the problem. They're not building anyone to beat him. And that, to me, is the biggest problem. And then you let everyone else get a shot at the title, not the people who are in your ranking system or wherever the hell you got. That would be bad. Bad. Real bad. Michael Jackson bad. Magic Johnson with HIV bad. Bad. Just bad.
Well, I kind of made up that scenario quite some time ago on the show, that Impact Wrestling could have, because they're using all these people, have those dream matches that we can't see, on an AEW or New Japan show, because they're not really, well, they're talking now, but at that time they wasn't. And kind of have those dream matches under their banner.
But it's not their wrestlers. I mean, Jay White already fought Kenny and beat Kenny. It's at New Japan, so it's not like it ain't nothing new. It's just new because it's under Impact. But that would mean Impact wrestlers ain't shit or ain't worthy enough to main event for their own company's title, which to me would be horrible.
Drew, does having a Kenny Omega versus Jay White match on Impact TV make Impact more, I don't want to say valuable, but more, will get them exposure that their own guys can't get them?
No. Like Kaliko said, we've already seen Jay White versus Kenny Omega. You have to build your own stars. So when that person beats Kenny Omega, it's like the Undertaker streak. Did Brock Lesnar really need to be the one to beat the streak? Not really, but we understood when it happened. The better person, it has to make sense. You're just bringing in guys because they have this great name recognition with hardcore fans. And AEW and Impact and New Japan are clamoring for the hardcore fan. They're not clamoring for the guys that know who Roman Reigns are on Friday nights and know who John Cena is. They're trying to appease the hardcore fans like you and I. I do not want to see a contracted New Japan guy, an EVP of AEW going after an Impact Championship. I'm sorry, I don't want to see it. I want to tune into Impact where they're gonna give me Chris Bay is going up against Ace Austin for the Impact Championship. Then I would tune in because it's two contracted Impact stars. When you're trying to tell me that means you're saying New Japan is better than us, AEW is better than us, and we're just here. We're just here. It now looks like you're turning Impact Wrestling into a developmental for New Japan and for AEW.
And for everyone that kept saying wrestling companies should work together, this is an example of how it could turn bad because you're not developing anybody in your company, and everybody who is coming in is just mud stomping everybody in your shit. So there's no Impact is literally like on life support as far as like fighting for their company. I mean, yeah, they get the name recognition and all this other stuff, but to me, fighting for the hardcore fan, that's a cap limit, homie. Like, I always say that. Like, don't get me wrong, it's a good fight, but it's only going to stop at so much, right? Like, eventually you got to get bigger money than that. And that's why I always say, like, AEW and everybody else goes to the hardcore fans and say, fuck the stockholders. Meanwhile, WWE goes, fuck the fans, we want this paper. Because everybody keeps saying WWE ain't shit, but yet their quarterly numbers are like, yo. Like, you can say we suck, but this paper telling us otherwise.
WWE was the most profitable during a pandemic.
Yes.
During a pandemic. The Thunderdome, this, that, and the third, they still popped out content. They still were getting 2 and 3 million people watching their program on a week-to-week basis. One of their shows went from 1 hour to 2 hours. And what has AEW done? Not like you clamor to that hardcore fan base, and it's great. The guys like you and I that talk about it, that podcast about it, that jump on the PW Torches of the world and read the Wrestling Observer newsletter and all that, and care what Uncle Dave has to say. That's great, but eventually that fan base burns out. You want to have a sustainable fan base because I look at myself. I started watching this at 5. I will be 40 in November. So 35 years of my life, I have watched some semblance of professional wrestling. Do you really think the WWE cares if I stop watching? No, because they have advertising dollars, they got revenue, they got all of this. They weren't getting nobody in the stands, but all of a sudden they're making not all of a sudden, but they're making the best moves possible. They signed a big deal with Peacock. They got Mattel, they got clothing, they got this, that, and the third. Their business model is to be a business. They don't care if you don't like the way they book. They don't care. And every other promotion is trying to cater to us. And it's great and all, but eventually, like, remember the NWO? It was cool when it started, but what happened? It started to get watered down and get stupid, and then it burned out. And then they tried to bring it back, but nobody cared. That's what's going to happen. This right now, wrestling's in a boom, but what's going to happen is that if you don't do something to sustain it, it's going to die out again. And then we're going to be here saying, we wish we had a secondary promotion, but the secondary promotion has to get that fan base that doesn't watch TNT on a Wednesday night unless there's basketball. You got to get those guys and girls to watch the program, not just us.
You're absolutely right about
Yep, and I said the biggest problem for AEW was when they had NBA inside the NBA and they couldn't keep that audience. Because to me, inside the NBA is literally probably the biggest sports show on the planet. And if you can't sustain the people from there, it's a wrap, homie.
Let's get back to Impact Wrestling. The pit preview as a whole, thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs in the middle, Coleco.
I give it a thumbs up because the matches were solid. It was just the booking was shit. So there you go. And that's not on the wrestlers. I never blame the wrestlers for it.
Joe?
Same, thumbs up. Matches were great, but it's the booking. And I always blame the booker. I never blame the guys that are in the squared circle.
I am in the thumbs up as well. That'll conclude our coverage of Slammiversary. And now a quick word from our sponsors.
Rogue Energy, the only gaming drink company in the world with 4 unique product lines to suit your task at hand, whether it be juices, shakes, smoothies, and everything else in between. Their low-calorie, no-sugar energy formula is the perfect alternative to sugar-filled canned energy drinks and sodas. Their extreme formula provides the most energy, focus, and sports performance possible. Their hydration line offers focus, ingredients without the added caffeine. Drink it anytime you're thirsty. And their shake formula is so delicious. Who doesn't love a cookies and cream, 0-calorie energy milkshake? First and foremost, they've designed every Rogue product line with performance and effectiveness in mind. It is critical that you look at the nutrition panels of drinks when comparing options. There are countless off-brands out there that are presenting low-quality, poorly dosed formulas that amount to expensive caffeine water. Every formula they produce is designed with optimal levels of high-quality ingredients. Additionally, you won't find a powdered gaming drink brand that dissolves better. No need to have chalky textures in your drink. Their taste profiles are unmatched, specifically designed for gamers, athletes, students, entrepreneurs, people with hectic schedules, individuals with low energy, podcasters who can't shut up, people who are health conscious, and so much more. Great as both a pre-workout and as a coffee energy drink replacement. Specifically designed every Rogue product line to be the best gaming drink on the planet. Rogue Energy, more focus, more wins.
Use promo code WrestlingWithE for 10% off your next purchase. And we are wrestling with WWE Money in the Bank. It was last Sunday, and if you were smart, you listened to it on the remix on the UNBS network with Scooter Dust on the remix. And yeah, the first pay-per-view back with actual fans. Kaliko, your thoughts on the pay-per-view as a whole?
Probably the best pay-per-view of the year, just because the fans are back. And let's just go, we go into the matches, MVP of the week are the fans, because everybody came with enthusiasm. WWE was kind of, but that makes sense because there's a bunch of kids in the audience. But the fans are back, and it just made everything whole again. So it was a good pay-per-view. Great pay-per-view.
Joe?
Yeah, the fans made the whole experience 20 times better than that stupid-ass Thunderdome. I got so tired of watching the Thunderdome and the pandemic era and the empty arena era. So shout out to those fans that went there and came with their energy and their enthusiasm, and you could tell the guys and girls fed off of that 100%, because it's been hard to watch them wrestle in front of LED screens for however months it has been.
A year and a half. And yeah, let's get into it. Women's Money in the Bank ladder match. Nikki Ash, almost a superhero, defeated Alexa Bliss, Asuka, Naomi, Natalya, Tamina, Zelina, and Liv. There's a new not Doctor Who, no, Dr. Seuss book. In 15 minutes and 46 seconds, Nikki Ash is your new women's Money in the Bank holder until Monday. We'll talk about it in a second. But I was the one that actually picked Nikki. So, Kaliko, your thoughts on the match?
I picked her too, fool. Like you, not like you the only one that picked her. I picked her. I knew damn well what was gonna happen. But because she was the person that benefited the most from damn that whole Rhea Charlotte triangle. So it made sense for her to get the win the briefcase.
Right.
Like she's the most current relevant storyline person. And plus everybody was talking shit about, oh, Vince must hate her because they made her into this gimmick, and then she wins Money in the Bank and no one gives a fuck. So yes. Show how fickle we are though.
What say you, Drew?
I didn't pick her per se, to be honest with you. I did not pick her. I picked Naomi because I feel like she deserves a lot more than what she's been given. But I had no problem with Nikki. She's the most over female on Raw. With the fans back, the kids love her. The gimmicks. This is for me. It's the gimmick in a sense because we're doing the comedic thing, but with what you guys are saying, with her being involved in that triangle with Rhea and Charlotte, it makes the most sense, and she does benefit the most from it.
And the next night on Raw, she successfully cashed in the Money in the Bank on Charlotte. Spoiler alert on that. And she is your new Raw Women's Champion. So it's not like it's an experiment at this point. Give her the Money in the Bank, see what she does with it. They gave her the belt. They pulled the trigger almost immediately on her.
Well, you knew. To me, it was a change when they did those count out matches, and Nikki won both. When she beat both Rhea and Charlotte, I was like, okay, that's different because you usually don't see that. You usually see either one or the other one up them. But when Nikki won both matches, I was like, oh yeah, it's going down. That was the seed to me.
You know, Drew, you made the assumption that she was kind of like a ha-ha character. But, we had one thing that WWE was kind of lacking in the women's division was that kid fan favorite, the Bayley role, that now Nikki Cross is filling. So
you're right. It's just I maybe because I'm an older head and I like my stuff to be a little bit more serious, and I understand that WWE is obviously targeting the kids, which is a smart thing to do, and not worry about hardcore fans. But we talked about that before. But yeah, it's true. Looking at it, yeah, the kids don't have like that Bayley type where they want to hug or have that fun factor where now the kids are buying the superhero in training stuff to run around at the shows and this, that, and the third. I think my booking of it was like still thinking we're in that Thunderdome era. You get what I mean?
Right.
Where now with the fans, it's like, okay, we now got a fresh new eyes on this. So now when you go into a city and now Nikki ASF comes out, huge pop, the kids are going to be in the crowd with their superhero in training and this, that, and the third. Yeah, because we didn't have anybody that was more of that kid friendly. Rhea Ripley doesn't look kid friendly at all.
No.
She's more of that emo goth look, and then Charlotte's a heel, and then you go over to SmackDown, Bianca Belair, but not really, and Sasha, not really. Bayley is a heel over on that side. So, yeah, we did need some comedic relief for that kid-friendly performer. And it's cool that it's Nikki Cross, and it's cool that she got away from the Alexa Bliss craziness and is kind of doing her own thing and making this character her own.
Absolutely.
My only issue is that they pulled the trigger on Nikki, and that's fine. But I wish they had did that to Bailey because it would have been a whole totally different scenario with her. But then we wouldn't get the Bailey that we see now. So two sides of the coin, right?
And I mean, we got fans again. Kids are gonna buy, the mask, the cape, the short, the pants, the underwear, all that good shit. So, yeah, why not pull the trigger on Nikki now? Next match, AJ Styles and Omos defeated the Viking Raiders to retain the Raw Tag Team Championships in 12 minutes and 56 seconds. My opinion, best match on the card. But when you have the Viking Raiders and AJ frickin' Styles, how can it not be a great match? No, Kaliko?
Good match, but they didn't make it. You kind of knew the Viking Raiders didn't have a chance. So, I mean, that was the only problem. So now the issue is, who's going to be the next tag team now?
True. What say you, Drew?
Yeah, it was a decent match, but again, who challenges them? That's another problem with WWE, and I think I talked about this with you guys a few months back, is that there is no other viable tag teams. It's like you should just cut the tag team titles down to one belt that can circulate from show to show. Or you just say the tag team titles are only available for Raw, and that's it. It's just who else is AJ and Amos going to face? Eventually, they're going to have to turn on one another to go into their kind of storyline. But in the meantime, who is their next crop of challengers?
I think we'll see how that plays out later on. Now we're gonna be talking about the next two matches now. Next, Bobby Lashley defeated Kofi Kingston, retained the WWE Championship in 7 minutes and 37 seconds. And then 2 matches later, the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. Big E defeated Kevin Owens, Riddle, Shinsuke Nakamura, Seth Rollins, Ricochet, John Morrison, and Drew McIntyre in 18 minutes and 5 seconds. Let's get to Bobby Lashley first. Not really a match to really speak of. No, Kaliko?
When you say beat, don't you mean he murdered Kofi Kingston? Because I felt like that was a murder scene, man. It's just, whew. But he had to be taken seriously. And when they told him stop the popping the champagne and stopping it basically was like a athlete who won a championship and spent time doing everything else except focusing on his task. And MVP got him back on the task. Kofi got him back on the task. And Kofi paid the price. First 48, Kofi edition.
Drew, anything you want to add? Oh, I think we lost Drew. Yep. Drew's muted at the moment. Alright, well, we
Lost him?
yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yep, I can hear you.
Okay, your thought, anything you want to add to Bobby and Kofi?
It was a squash match. It was to just prove that Bobby Lashley had needed to get back on track after the whole I got women and party and all that kind of stuff. So MVP got him back on track, got him back to the almighty ways, and he just put a whooping on Kofi Kingston.
Now, getting to the other match I mentioned, Big E winning the Money in the Bank, it would have made sense that Big E kind of uses that to get revenge on Bobby Lashley for messing up his boys. Nope. Monday Night Raw, Goldberg makes his comeback and says Bobby Lashley's nuts. making me and possibly Kaliko question why the hell we're going to SummerSlam in the first place. Kaliko?
I mean, Biggie being the first African American Money in the Bank winner is the bigger story for me, man. I was like, holy cow.
That can't be true.
Didn't think that was coming, but Big E is going to be on SmackDown. So because to me, he needs his cash in should be his own cash in. So let him do his thing. Let Lashley do his thing because I feel like Big E could be the guy that beat Roman.
Interesting. Well, let's talk Goldberg. Why does Goldberg need
Where do
to?
I go?
You know, I don't think people don't want to see him. If you've seen the reaction he got on Raw, obviously there's a desire there. But why does he have to be the main event for the championship when he hasn't earned anything? Anybody that wants to answer?
Because he has 2 matches left on his contract. That's why we're going to this match. I'm never a fan. I've never been a fan of Goldberg. I think Goldberg was for his time period. Yeah, he did great things. But I do not want to spend my money to watch a 54-year-old man that almost dropped one of the greatest characters on their head in Saudi Arabia, could barely pick up the Fiend, wrestle again. It's just crazy to me.
Kaliko? Nope, we lost Kaliko. If she was ever really here to begin with. Now, I guess we could come back to. We'll go back to Big E winning the championship, the Money in the Bank. Again, not a bad match, great match. And I picked Riddle to win that match, but that's another story. If they do it right, could Big E be a top star by winning this Money in the Bank briefcase? Drew?
Yes, 100%. I think what Big E should do is you have what? It's a whole year, so July. Maybe he's the guy that is the one that takes down Roman at next year's Mania. Maybe he does something like Seth Rollins did a few years ago. That cash in is still talked about to this day. So I think putting this Money in the Bank briefcase on Big E, and he can always threaten to be the guy to cash in, because obviously we know Cena ain't winning the belt. We know Edge ain't winning the belt, and Roman's only viable options going forward is to feud with his former Shield brother in Seth Rollins, or it's Big E. So Big E could do one of two things: just cash in on him on a SmackDown to pop a rating, or he does what RVD did with John Cena and say, I am actually telling you this is the date I am cashing in on, and I'm going to take the belt from you. He is the next star coming out of this. You have Roman as your heel. He needs a babyface. He needs somebody to have a rivalry with. And I think going forward, it should be Big E.
Maybe Kaliko's back?
Was for Cena.
That all makes sense. It all makes sense. my thing is that the only reason I wouldn't want it to be a surprise because Big E be talking mad shit to Paul Heyman sometimes. So he let him get his shit talking out because he can talk a smack. So I feel like he was already there with the New Day, but I think him winning the Intercontinental title made him not tag team guy. So now he just got to break the ceiling to be big man guy. And I think Money in the Bank helped him with that. And if you had heard the promo after Money in the Bank with them, when he was like, yeah, winning the briefcase is one thing, but getting the belt is another, that tells me that it's going to happen. It's just a matter of when.
All right. Charlotte Flair defeated Rhea Ripley to win the Raw Women's Championship in 16 minutes and 49 seconds. Seems like Charlotte and Rhea has been having some really good matches. This one was pretty good as well. Charlotte is now an 11-time champion, but at the end of the day, this is kind of unconsequential because Nikki Ash is our new champion. Correct, Kaliko?
Well, if you think about this, of the 4 women's Money in the Bank cash-ins, Charlotte has been 3 of them. So if she says she the opportunity, she ain't lying. She the lick. So it makes sense for Charlotte, for it to be Charlotte, because in storyline, because Nikki was basically beefing with Charlotte anyway, and that's basically what spawned this whole superhero thing, and B, the history of Charlotte being cashed in on, i.e. saying she is the opportunity.
True. Drew?
I agree with that 100%. I agree with that. It's just that everybody that talks so negative about Charlotte, especially winning all this championship, and they eliminated 4 of her championship wins, because I just feel like there's some kind of internal beef between Paul and Vince, and they had some kind of beef at the dinner table at the mansion, and Vince is like, yeah, your NXT guys championships don't mean crap to me when they come to the main roster, so they're eliminated. Something to that effect. Because it's like, oh, she's a 14 champion, and all of a sudden she's an 11-time champ, so you're just eliminating her NXT. I'm a big baseball fan, so it doesn't matter what you did down in single A, double A, triple A. When you get to the show, your numbers go back to 0, and you got to prove yourself in the show. So that's why those championships down there, because nobody ever brings up, oh, this are like when the Raptors won the NBA championship. Nobody brought up that or they call him Barber Fred, and Pascal Siakam won a championship playing in the NBA D League. Nobody says that. They're like, oh, they won the NBA championship. So I understand that, but I just think there's internal beef there with Vince and Paul. But I digress. But Rhea Ripley and Charlotte have great matches. Charlotte is the opportunity. Charlotte is putting over these girls left and right and making them look like $1 million doing so. So I think there was no issue with that going forward. And then Nikki Cross, because we all know they had a storyline. It was intertwined. The superhero character came from it. So everything booking-wise worked out perfectly.
Let's go on to our last match. Roman Reigns with Paul Heyman defeated Edge to retain the Universal Championship in 33 minutes and 5 seconds. What say you, Kaliko?
Great match. Roman does what Roman does. But to me, of course everybody was going to have the interferences, and seeds had to be planted elsewhere. So that was my only gripe, was the fact that seeds were planted, like the fact that they had to use the match to plant seeds everywhere else. But to me, Roman should have been able to do this on his own to show that he is the man. But it prompts Cena to come out and explain the whole asshole thing. So I get it.
Turn right, Kaliko.
But I'm going to go left.
Turn right, damn it. What say you, Drew?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. But seeds were already planted years ago when Seth had Edge's neck on that chair and could have snapped his neck for like the 54th time. But we all knew that Edge wasn't going to be the guy to beat Roman, and it's smart that it's not Edge. I'm glad that Edge is spearing off over to something with Seth Rollins at SummerSlam. I think those two are going to have an amazing match. This match was a very, very entertaining match. And like Kaliko said, I would have threw out the whole interference thing, but I understand why it's there because you want to push the story. But other than that, to me, that was the match of the night.
All right. All that being said, the pit preview as a whole, thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs in the middle, Kaliko.
Best pay-per-view they had ever. And they can thank the fans for that and the fact that they went outside the box.
All right. And that will conclude. Oh no, Drew. Thumbs up, thumbs down.
Thumbs up. Best pay-per-view of 2021 from the WWE.
I gotta give it a thumbs up as well. But I find it hard to find a bad Money in the Bank pay-per-view. They've always been really great, solid pay-per-views.
I mean, that's technically their fifth major event. Because I feel like it's not. I feel like Money in the Bank is bigger than Survivor Series.
At this point, yeah.
So to me, that's their unofficial Big Five.
All right, and that will conclude our coverage
What exit I'm taking, babe?
of Money in the Bank 2021.
Oh, okay, it's coming up.
Next week on the show, I think we have to address the elephant in the room, and that would be that CM Punk allegedly signed with AEW, but I'm still on the rumor and innuendo of that. But once again, we'll talk all about that next week on the show. Drew, where can we find the Gr8ful Yardy Podcast?
You can find it on Anchor.fm, Apple Podcasts, Podcast Addict, Overcast, and wherever else you get your favorite podcasts. For social media, you can check out our Facebook page. That is facebook.com/The8ful Yardy. And Grateful is spelled GR8FUL. I'm on Twitter at DWrestling99 and also on Instagram, Drew_Wrestling99. And the number 99 is no, not for Wayne Gretzky. It's the year that I graduated Catholic high school.
And of course, if you like what we're doing, please like, subscribe, comment, vote on YouTube and Castbox. This episode was, of course, sponsored by Rogue Energy. Use promo code WrestlingWithE for 10% off your next purchase. And join us this Wednesday as we interview Brutal Bob Evans. You can find the show on Twitter and Instagram at WrestlingWithE for all your Wrestling with E needs. And you can find us individually as well. I am at JamesJ993. Where can they find Kaliko?
You can find me on the freeway playing Ludacris Move Bitch at I Am Kaliko.
And you can, of course, find Scooter Dust at Scooter Dust. For our very special guest, Drew, Kaliko Yacht, Scooter Dust, I'm James Shea, and this has been Wrestling with Entertainment.
Hey folks, this is the Colossal Mike Law, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment. Enjoy the show. Support these guys. We appreciate it very much. We'll see you at ringside.